What day is it today? It's new car day! I am the one and only. So I'm sitting in Costa Coffee in Spalding, Lincolnshire with this absolute beast of a mug of coffee. And I have just come down here to collect my new used Tesla Model 3 long range. And this one's a bit special because it's in a rare paint color. But I did a short yesterday talking about my actual journey to get here. But essentially I've taken 4 trains in over 8 hours traveling to get here. I'm then gonna get picked up by the dealer shortly. We're gonna go there, do the paperwork, I'm gonna introduce the car to you as well and talk about some of the handover process. I'm gonna get this thing out on the road. I'm gonna tell you all about my first impressions driving it back up to Aberdeen, my first charging experience as well, all of that, and yeah, just generally my first impressions of owning this car. I'm gonna be doing a lot of videos about this car, and did I mention I am excited? So here we are, Spalding Car Sales Limited, and essentially they are a small family run used dealership that only sells premium and basically high spec cars. Almost everything they have is like the top spec. That one's a performance Tesla Model 3, and yeah, everything they buy is like all the toys, all the options. That seems to be their business models, to have the highest spec cars. But yeah, they've got some really nice motors. There's a few through here as well. Yeah, BMWs and Teslas are the main things I can see, but yeah, so far first impressions are very good. Here she is. Tesla Model 3 long range dual motors, all-wheel drive, triple layer red paint, the premium most expensive paint, which is what makes it look a bit more unique than the many white ones on the road. And it looks damn sexy. It's got all the software updates added. They did all that for me before I picked it up, and I've got everything transferred over to me already. I'll talk about that in a minute, but yeah, this is how she looks, and I've already been out for a quick spin just to check everything's all good. Only thing was there was a warning light, and it turns out one of the tyres was low in pressure, so we need to investigate that. But from the outside, so to summarise the interior, it basically looks like a new car. There's no marks that I can see. It literally looks brand new. The outside as well, the paintwork is mostly in great nick. There's very few marks on it. Overall, yeah, it's a car that's done 42,000 miles. You wouldn't think it. I love how the infotainment system matches your paint colour. I think that's really quite a cool touch. The steering wheel is really nice to hold in the hand as well. Fairly decent sized boot too. So it turns out there might be a nail in the front left tyre, so they've actually taken it off and they're away to investigate it, and we'll see what happens. Maybe need a replaced tyre, I don't know, but yeah, I think this is an honest mistake. It's been sitting in the showroom and apparently the pressures can drop a bit. And it was only down a few PSI, but essentially they've investigated it, and yeah, it looks like there might be a nail in it because apparently there's an abattoir nearby and the animal rights activists have been out doing naughty things on the roads, so that might be what's happened here. But either way, they're addressing the issue and I can't ask for more than that. So my front left tyre's been repaired, and I'm cool with that because it's basically, if it couldn't be repaired, they'd have to replace it. And so if they say it can be repaired, I'm willing to say that that's safe. Obviously, if I drive along and I start losing pressure, we'll be having a different conversation. But overall, the service from these guys has been excellent. They've done the finance agreement, all sorted. I'll talk about the money later on. But yeah, it's all in place. But they've also done a few extra things to help me get set up with the car. And generally, there's certain things you can't get set up for, like supercharging network and all that, until you get the logbook, which is not going to come for a couple of weeks. But they have a way of getting around that, and essentially they've been able to set up my phone and the app with the car and get me set up for supercharging. So that's great. I've got my premium account with my media, my Spotify and all that. I've got Google Maps. It looks fantastic. So I'm all set to go. I can plan my route. I'm going to stop to charge at some point. I'll talk about that as well. I'm really excited to get this out on the road, but I was hoping to be home before the kids go to bed because my kids are really excited about me getting a Tesla. And my youngest kid, he's only 4 and he knows a lot. He even knows what a McMurtry Spearling is. He's lying on the couch this morning and my wife comes through and she's like, "Why are you not watching TV?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just waiting for Daddy to come and turn up with his Tesla." yeah, she had to tell them the bad news that I might not get home before they go to bed. So that is devastating for them, to be honest. So I would have loved to have shown you their reaction to seeing the car, but if I don't get back in time, then they'll see it tomorrow. But yeah, I'm keen to get home and show the family this car because they're excited about it, and I'm really excited to do a launch in this car with them in the back. But yeah, let's get this thing on the road and I'll give you various updates about my first impressions on the way. So quick update, I had to stop to get some food and I've stocked up. I'm not gonna lie, that's the second McDonald's I've had in a row since I got here. Not really great, to be honest, considering I'm on a diet, but I won't eat again for a while. But first impressions, very, very first impressions are, this is like no other experience I've ever had in a car. I really cannot believe quite how unique it is. I mean, I've driven a Tesla before, but this is just different to anything I've ever experienced in a car being in a Tesla. It's really, really quite something. And I don't think I've ever felt quite as excited and like a Cheshire cat grinning from ear to ear as I have been in the last few hours since getting this car. And everything about the driving experience is just blowing my mind. A couple of things to quickly point out before I really get into the detail as we go along, but it's quite loud in here. It's definitely not that quiet a car, and I'm not surprised by that because I've heard that from other reviews, but there is a bit of noise in this cabin. The tyres a little bit and just general sound insulation isn't fantastic. So that is a small chink in the armour, but when I put my foot down, I mean, this thing is just absolutely bonkers. I cannot believe I own a car that I'm paying less than £400 a month for that does 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. It is absolutely nuts. There's no way I need a car this fast, but I'm pretty happy I've got one. I feel like being a Tesla owner is a bit like being in the Masons, you know? Like every time I see another Tesla driver I go past, I kind of want to give them a wee wave or something, be a little secret wave, you know? Like, hey, we're in the same club, you know? It's like, it just feels like we're part of I'm part of a fraternity of cars that are just like something else on the road. It's funny as well because virtually everybody I know that's got a Tesla or reviews I've watched have said that you get really used to not having a head-up display very quickly and looking at your speed in the top right of your infotainment and not directly in your eye line. And I'm like, I can see that already. I feel like already that is not an issue for me. I'm just like, oh, what's my speed? Oh yeah, it's kind of almost in my eye line. So I don't really think that's a major problem, but would it be kind of cool to have some sort of retrofit like head-up display right in front of me, or just a digital speedo? Yeah. I've also got one pedal driving setup, which is an absolute must, and yeah, it's really just an amazing thing. And the main thing is, not only does it mean you're only using one pedal mostly just to drive, brake and accelerate obviously, but it's saving your brake pads, and yeah, that's another thing you're going to save a lot of money on with this car, is your brake pads might last the whole time you've got it.
The city feels so dark when no one's around. We're sitting in my car, the silence is so loud.
So I've just joined the dual carriageway, and yeah, getting up to speed and keeping up with the traffic was not really a problem. I literally hit the slip road, put my foot down, and yep, I was literally doing motorway speeds like that. Absolutely insane. People drive like dicks a lot more in England than they do in Scotland, I have to say. Like, there's just a lot more people do cheeky things on the road. And so I've got to keep my wits about me a little bit, and yeah, I've not set up all the really ace systems yet that the Tesla can do to help protect me from a crash and all the autonomous driving. To be honest, on this journey I'm probably only going to get time to set up my adaptive cruise and pilot assist, but extra features that this car has and the option packs that this car has for self-driving, as much as you can get for the UK anyway, I'm probably going to have to spend some time understanding all that before I can really talk about it. But yeah, I really need to sit and have a little play with the infotainment system. There's so much to get your head around, and particularly with adaptive cruise and that, I thought it was going to be on my right button on the steering wheel, but it's actually doing voice control. Shut up. So yeah, basically I need to sort that out and get it configured. So I'm going to pull over at some point and fix that. Something else that's really cool is that There's a part of the screen right now is showing me the car driving and the lanes around me and the cars as I pass them, and like it'll even like show you a proper lorry if you go past it, or even traffic cones if you're going past some like roadworks and stuff. Absolutely amazing. And yeah, it just feels like the tech in this car is on another level to anything I've ever experienced. So I've just arrived at the Tesla Supercharger point at Scotch Corner. I was down about 65 miles of range and I was starting to get a little bit of a twitchy sphincter, so I'm glad I found it, and that was my first little moment of range anxiety, even though technically I still had quite a lot of range to go. It was like, well, if I don't find this one, or this one's not working or something, then where's the next one going to be? But I'm going to charge this thing for the first time. Is that it? I felt like such an utter newbie there. I was like, what do I do here? Well, all you do is pull the socket out, plug it in the car, boom, it's charging. So yeah, amazing. And there it is, charging away, adding a mile of range every few seconds. That is absolutely mental. Now everybody knows that Tesla superchargers can go up to like 250 kilowatts. And so the charge speed's absolutely bananas. But even at 111 kilowatts, which is roughly what I'm getting at the moment, the speed this is charging at is really good. It's already put on 56 miles and I feel like I've only been sitting here for a few minutes. So honestly, this is just absolutely incredible. There's so many people out there with Teslas. I'm hardly the first person to get a Tesla. So a lot of people with Teslas can be like, wait, slow clap. How does this guy not know this? I did know this, but until I've actually been in my own one and watched this happening, it's like, it's actually quite nuts. So I've been here for about half an hour and the car's at 267 miles of range. So it's put on 200 miles in about half an hour, which is really pretty good. So that's going to take me pretty far north. And it's cost me £24 and counting. That'll do, pig, that'll do. I mean, if you were filling up a tank of diesel on like a 4-cylinder diesel engine that has a reasonable sized tank, it's probably going to cost you £70 to £90 to fill that up. And you're going to get probably 500 to 700 miles of range out of that. So if you're getting 200 miles of range out of this, out of a supercharger for about 25 quid. It's not that different proportionally, but still, I don't really care. I'm not going to be using these all that much. And the fact is that the thing that I've always wondered about was, one, would I have to worry about charging and being able to get to a charger? And that's just proven in that case that that wasn't an issue, and that this infotainment system works it all out for me to get to the next one when I need it, calculates all of that, but also that once I'm actually there, I don't need to spend all day waiting for it to charge. And that's definitely one of the things that having a Tesla is going to win over any of its rivals, because you can use the supercharger network. Some cars can use some superchargers, but they're restricted, and in situations like I'm in today, that could be a problem. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be things about this car that are going to annoy me, and I'm going to be telling you about all of those, but I think there's going to be a lot more things that I love about it to tell you as well. Certainly though, I was excited to hear the sound system in this thing, and it hasn't disappointed. It's a brilliant stereo. I've heard rumours that it's actually a D-Bad Bang & Olufsen system. I don't really care. Tesla says it's an OEM system. I don't care. It sounds amazing. Where it maybe could be better, and that's simply this one, is the Model Y gets double glazing on the windows, and it felt a little bit quieter in there than in this car. And at 70 or 80 miles an hour, that's where you do notice quite a lot of noise. And so it doesn't sound that amazing when you really have to pump it up quite loud to get over all that noise. And so that's an area where it's maybe lacking, and if you just had a bit better acoustics from double glazing and all that sort of stuff, you would then be able to enjoy the quality of the stereo even more. But it is still a great sound system, and yet, you know, if you're hearing a lot of road noise, whatever, just turn it up a bit louder. But the seats, that was one of the things that made me move away from my BMW 3 Series. The seats were just not very comfortable. They were a bit firm, but more than anything, there was no lumbar support, and they were just over long journeys. I was like, ugh, really uncomfortable. This thing, so far, really soft and squidgy seat. I feel like I'm really sinking into it. And for a long journey so far, no backache whatsoever. Of course, you do have lumbar support as standard in this, and it's electric, of course, like everything else in this car. And the whole seat's electric with memory, and just generally feel like I can get a really comfortable position. The only thing I would say is, I could do with a thigh extender, and I don't have the longest legs in the world, but if you were really tall, that might be a real problem in this car, because the seat base really feels quite shallow. So that's the only chink chink in the armour, I would say, with the seats, but overall they're really soft and squidgy, and I think by the end of this long journey I'm not going to be going, but the tech in this car is next level, like, and this is not even the current Model 3 now, you know. You can get the Highland, it's going to be even better. And so yeah, anybody that's got the Highland, oh, I'm jealous of you, because you're taking whatever's awesome with this car and then adding to it, which is hard to imagine it getting much more awesome than what I have seen so far of this car. But there's a lot to learn with this screen, and I've really just scratched the surface. I really need to get up the road. I've just about run out of belief that I can get home before my kids get to bed to see me, so that's annoying. I would love to have seen them tonight. They're so excited about seeing the car, but I really want to get up the road, and so I could spend hours playing with this thing to figure everything out. But the autonomous tech, I'm going to have to focus on that another time. I've got the adaptive cruise control working though, which is important, because for a journey like this I really want to be able to just not worry about how fast I'm going, because it's very easy to speed. You know, I could be doing 70 odd and then I touch the accelerator and I'm doing 90 and it's like, oh crap, slow down. You know, it's like, it's so easy to speed in this thing. And so yeah, you really want to use your adaptive cruise, and you want to use the systems that will help you avoid getting a ticket, because it really could be easy. And it's a bit cliche to say this about being British and all, but you know, driving around this country, it's a really beautiful country. It's just a real shame that the weather's so absolutely mince so often, because when you get a nice day like today, you're driving about, it's a real joy. You know, if you're somebody who enjoys driving, as I do, and especially in a car with this kind of performance and a good sound system, I mean, oh, you know, just leave me be. You know, I'll just happily just chunder on here and put my Spotify on, which is linked to the car now, because I've paid for the premium account, which gives me all the media, Netflix, YouTube. I was like looking at YouTube earlier on the screen. I'm like, I've actually got my own channel on the screen, you know. It's like, oh, so cool. So yeah, I've got all that set up, and I'm just going along here, and this journey is just such an enjoyable journey to do. I'm not desperate to get home. I can't wait to show my family the car, but you know, I'll get there when I get there. This is just so much fun just being in this thing. So I've just been to a service station north of the border to get thoroughly ripped off for a prawn sandwich and a packet of crisps. But I got to the till, the boy was like, have you got any fuel? And I was like, no, I don't. I'll never have fuel again. Isn't that amazing? Let's go. But let's talk a little bit more about why I picked this car after everything, because obviously I was talking about potentially not getting an EV and getting a BMW, but I started thinking more and more about it, and when I looked at all the options, the used EV on a PCP, personal contract purchase, actually seemed to be the one that made the most sense. It's like I could have similar car payments monthly to what I had in my BMW, but way less running costs, way less maintenance, servicing, I can basically do it if I want or not. And yeah, the running costs are so low, it's just going to be like nothing basically. I mean, today it is, but once I'm at home and I'm using my own charge point, I'm never going to really notice the cost of it that much, because I don't do that many miles for stars. So that was one thing. But on the EV side of things, it was like this with the Polestar, and the head was saying the Polestar because I had a more practical boot, and it was just maybe going to be a bit more familiar for my wife to use. But then I looked at the Teslas and I was like, Tesla are ahead of the game on EVs. They just are. And if I'm going to get my first EV, I want it to be the company that does it the best. And Tesla are the best for doing EVs. And so I was like, I really feel like the smart move is just to get the Tesla. And yes, it's going to be a bit of a nightmare initially for my wife to get used to when she drives it, which isn't going to be very often. And I'm not going to be able to get a retriever in the boot unless I want to kill it. So it's going to have to go in the back seats if we ever have to bother with it. But we've got another car that's bigger, so I don't really need to ever take this car if the dog's going to be in it. So that wasn't really a reason to pick a Polestar over this. But I really feel like there's far too many white Teslas out there, and no disrespect to people that have got them, because I understand why a lot of people have gone white, because it was, you know, it's quite expensive to add the paint colours on. And that was one of the reasons why I did eventually go for the Tesla, because I was like, if I can find one that's a decent colour at a decent price, then it looks a bit more unique on the roads. And when I saw this one being advertised on Auto Trader, I was like, damn, that is a really nice colour, and it's just such a sharp red in the sun. Like today, it's like bang, it really stands out. And yeah, so it's the most expensive paint job that you would really unlikely pay for if you were buying one new or on a lease or whatever. But because it was used, I was like, well, it comes with it anyway, so I thought, bugger it, that really could be an option. And then I spoke to the dealer, and he seemed to know his stuff about EVs, and then he started talking about the fact that it's got all the autonomous driving tech on it as well, all the options for that. And I was like, look, I don't really need that, but that's kind of cool as well. And these things maybe help add to the what future value you might have. You know, if you've got one that's a bit rarer, it might hold its value better. So that was a consideration. But yeah, when I started looking at it, all of a sudden I was like, stuff it, I'm doing it. And so I put a deposit down, and the next thing I know, I'm getting on a train to go down to Spalding in Lincolnshire to get it. So the way I worked out the deal was, I didn't want to have a 4-year PCP, because I thought if this car does depreciate below the guaranteed future value balloon payment, then yeah, I'm gonna have to keep it probably for the full 4 years and then just hand it back. I can't imagine ever doing that with a car. So I was like, 3 years, I could maybe stomach that if I have to keep a car for 3 years. And hey, don't get me wrong, if at the end of the time it's worth more, I might get rid of it sooner, who knows? But I don't need to worry about it. But 3 years feels like a length of time with a car I can live with. And so I was like, right, let's do that. Let's do 8 miles, 1,000 miles limit, because I don't do high mileage now. My son's away to go to school, so we don't have nursery runs to worry about. So I think that's probably going to be enough. But if I do need to up it, I will actually speak to the finance company and get them to up it, because it'd be cheaper than paying the excess mileage charge at the end, which right now it looks like we're going to be needing to sort on our Santa Fe as well, because we've done way more miles than we should have on that. But anyway, I digress. So 3-year deal, 8,000 miles a year on the deal, and then a £2.5 deposit, and £358 a month is my finance on this. So that's almost exactly the same as what I was paying against my private loan for my BMW payments. And of course, at the end of another 3 years, I would have owned that car outright, so I had an asset by then. But by then it would have been worth a lot less. I could have had major repairs, and I would have been bored stiff of that car by then, even though it was technically a good car. But yeah, basically very little maintenance, new tyres in the back, fairly new tyres on the front, very low running costs, and a car that does 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. Take my money. So I'm sitting here for about half an hour chatting to my mate on the phone to pass the time at a second Tesla Supercharger spot south of Glasgow, and yeah, they're like a little secret club. Like, you know, you follow the sat nav to get to it, and then you go, where am I going? And you're like in the middle of nowhere, you know, this random wee hotel, and at the back there's all these Superchargers, like 15 of them or something, and there's only me and one other car here when I first got here, which isn't even a Tesla. And I plugged it in, I was getting over 160 kilowatts. I'm like, oh, this is going to be super quick. And then another Tesla turned up, and it started to drop, and now I'm only getting 39 kilowatts. So yeah, a little bit disappointed with that, but it's taken its time as well. So yeah, I just decided, you know what, it says now I've got enough charge to get me to the end of my trip, but I'm a bit like, I don't really want to get stuck somewhere and be like, oh, I'm getting too close to the bone, do I need to find somewhere to charge it again? I just want to get home and be sure I get home. And I'm sure I would, and I can rely on this, but I'm just like, I'm done with this. This journey's taken way longer than I thought it would because of all the stops I've made. Some of them being because I needed food and to muck about with cameras and stuff, but yeah, I've still got like 3 hours to go, and I really just want to get home. So back out on the road for the home stretch, i.e. mainly the Scotland part. Gonna try and not stop again because I'm just really tired and when I get home. It's gonna be after 10 o'clock before I get home, which sucks a little bit. But yeah, it's been a fun journey, and I've learned a lot about this car, but I have a heck of a lot more to learn. But it's gonna take some getting used to, this infotainment system. And the fact is, I don't even like touchscreens here. I've gone and bought a car that's basically everything's on the touchscreen. Even to open the frunk is a button in the touchscreen, you know, and like, it's absolutely mental. But I knew that when I was buying it, and that's cool, I'm fine with all that. But even as responsive as this touchscreen is, there's still times where I've gone to press a button and it's taken me a few stabs to do it, and that is just distracting no matter how good a system it actually is. And the main reason for that is, well, the buttons in some cases could be a little bit bigger, but the car jumps about a bit. It's got firm steering and suspension, and it's, you know, you do kind of have to really concentrate to press the buttons sometimes, and that isn't very safe, you know. And I know I'm gonna have to deal with that, but I'm really hoping the voice control, which I've not really tested out properly yet, is going to save me having to do that a little bit, because yeah, I'm sorry, but no matter how good your touchscreen is, Tesla, Elon, that's still not ideal. Something I'm not a massive fan of is the steering wheel buttons, which are just about the only buttons in the car, barring the ones to open the doors. Not really sure why they did that actually, but they're nice quality feeling buttons and scroll wheels, but to skip left and right just feels a little bit awkward to do it. It's like, it's not, you gotta really pressed in and to the side. I'm like, I just don't know why they couldn't have made that just a little bit of an easier thing to physically do. It just feels a little bit clunky, and yeah, I don't know, again, just like, I've really got to think about it, you know, and it's like, just give me an actual button for skip that just click, you know. So yeah, that's not ideal, but the general quality of the buttons and the damping of the indicators and stalks is ace. Something else I thought was going to take a little bit of getting used to is just how instant the power is. You know, just little things like when you're coming off a junction and you're like, oh, just nip out here, and you touch the throttle and you're like, ooh, jeepers, you know. It's just like, it's so instant, and because it's got all-wheel drive as well, there's no wheel slip and you're just off. I'm away with my mum on Wednesday to Knock Hill for some racing actually, and she's going to get going it, so it's going to be ace to see her reaction to this. We're coming into the really light nights as well though, which means I'm not going to get to do a properly good test of it, but I'm really excited to try out the Matrix LED headlights, the adaptive LED headlights, whatever you want to call it, which have recently just been updated in the software and came with this car. So that is, I love that feature. Just drive along at night, never worrying about dipping your beams and all that stuff, and yeah, maximum visibility but not dazzling oncoming traffic. Cannot wait for next winter where I can get the benefit of that. But what's my first impressions of this thing overall? Absolutely fabulous. I cannot believe this is my car now, and I'm so excited to tell you more about it. Hopefully I've not said too much about it in this video, that I've not left a lot of things to talk about in others, but it really is amazing. And it's like, of all the toys, and I'm not just talking about cars, but toys I've ever had in my life, nothing competes with this.
How long do we gotta stay here for people we don't know in one lines? All of the clothes are designer, fast cars and who knows who. Yeah, I know what they wanna say. They're gonna ask me if I'm gonna make it. I don't care if I'm gonna have to fake it.
So that's me home at 10 o'clock and I'm absolutely shattered. I've got all this efficiency data up on my screen and I'm just too tired to actually really digest it. So I'll put it up on the screen for a second just now, but I'll be doing more videos about efficiency, so not really that important right now. What is important though is I'm kind of glad that second supercharge I actually went for pretty much a full charge, because it was saying, oh, you've got enough charge to get home quite a bit before I stopped charging. And if I'd actually gone by that, I'd have been cutting it pretty fine to get back, so without having to stop again. So I'm kind of glad I took a full charge. I mean, I was putting the hammer down a couple of times, got my tunes thumping, I've got my heated seat on, etc. So yeah, it'll take some time to understand and learn like what sort of style of driving equates to what real world range you actually get, but I was just having so much fun. I actually floored it off the line at one point at the lights. The woman beside me must have been like, get a load of this guy. But whatever, I just wanted to put my foot down and get up to 40 really quick, and yeah, I literally instant. And I suffer from motion sickness, and I literally felt a little bit lightheaded for a second. I was like, oh my god, it's that quick. And there's way faster Teslas as well, which is just insane to think about, you know, but it's just so stupidly fast. Way faster than I really need a car to be, but hey, we're here now, you know. But a couple of other things to point out from the last leg of the journey was the adaptive cruise did crap itself at one point, slammed the brakes on when there was a car in another lane, and that gave me a bit of a scare. It wasn't a big deal, but I was like, the only car I've ever had where I've never actually remember feeling that happen was my old Volvo S60. Every other car that's had adaptive cruise control I've been in has done something like that at some point. But I'm not going to criticize it too much because I know that the autonomous driving tech in this car is really awesome, and generally the sort of the calibration of everything felt really good. One other thing I did get to try because I'm so late at home is the Matrix LED headlights, and yeah, they're like, it's almost distracting because it's like mesmerizingly dancing the beams about, but it never had any issues at all. Nobody flashed their lights at me, so far so good with that, but I'll be doing more tests on that as well. But overall, yeah, really enjoyed the day. It's been so much fun, and I can't believe this is my car. I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to get up in the morning and be like, oh my god, it's in the driveway. I can't wait to go out and see it again. Take my son to football, and he's just going to be absolutely buzzing about it as well. So yeah, I'm so excited about this car, and I didn't buy this car just to make content about it, but it's a nice bonus. So I'll be telling you everything I can about it, and I'm sorry my kids never got to see it tonight, because I would have loved to have seen their reactions, but all in good time. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and if you did, please do give it a like, and don't forget to subscribe, because there's loads more content coming up on the channel about this car and many others. But I hope you did enjoy it, and yeah, just a Tesla new fanboy who got his new toy. You know, there'll be a lot of people out there that'll watch this going, he's saying a lot of stuff that many Tesla owners have already said, but this is just my experience, and it's been a very good start. Anyway, thanks guys, and I'll see you in the next one.